The rain hammered against the windows of our brownstone in Brooklyn, mirroring the storm brewing inside me. Alaric, a 44-year-old software engineer, should have been enjoying a quiet evening with my wife, Imogen. We'd been married for 15 years, a seemingly solid union built on shared dreams and mutual respect. Or so I thought. The first crack in the facade appeared subtly, almost invisibly. Imogen, a vibrant and outgoing art curator, started staying late at the gallery more often. "A new exhibition," she'd explain, her eyes slightly averted. "It's all hands on deck." I didn't suspect anything at first. Imogen was passionate about her work and I admired her dedication. I'd often make dinner for us when she got home, a simple gesture to show my support. But as the weeks turned into months, her late nights became the norm, and a chilling distance crept into our relationship. It wasn't just the late nights. Imogen became increasingly preoccupied with her phone, constantly texting and smiling to herself. When I'd enter the room, she'd quickly lock the screen, a flicker of guilt in her eyes. I tried to brush it off, telling myself I was being paranoid, that our love was strong enough to withstand any challenge. But the unease lingered, a persistent whisper in the back of my mind. One Saturday, Imogen told me she had to attend a last-minute meeting at the gallery. "It's crucial, Alaric," she said, her voice strained. "I have to be there." I offered to drive her, but she declined, insisting she needed to go alone to focus. As she left, a wave of suspicion washed over me, stronger than ever before. I tried to distract myself, tinkering with some code for a personal project. But my mind kept drifting back to Imogen, to her evasiveness and the growing chasm between us. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore. I decided to surprise her at the gallery, hoping to quell my anxieties and reassure myself that everything was all right. The gallery was located in a trendy neighborhood in Dumbo, a short subway ride from our home. When I arrived, the building was dark and quiet. I checked the address again just to be sure. Yes, this was the place. Maybe the meeting had already ended. I tried calling Imogen, but her phone went straight to voicemail. A knot of dread tightened in my stomach. I decided to walk around the building, hoping to catch a glimpse of her through a window. As I rounded the corner, I saw a small, dimly lit cafe across the street. Through the window, I spotted two figures sitting at a table, bathed in the soft glow of a flickering candle. My heart lurched. It was Imogen. And she wasn't alone. She was with a man, a tall, handsome stranger with slick-back hair and a confident smirk. They were leaning close, their hands intertwined on the table. Imogen was laughing, a genuine, carefree laugh that I hadn't heard in months. A laugh that was no longer reserved for me. I stood frozen on the sidewalk, my blood turning to ice. The scene before me was like a punch to the gut, a brutal confirmation of my worst fears. My wife, the woman I loved and trusted, was betraying me, right there in plain sight. I watched them for what felt like an eternity, my mind reeling, my emotions in turmoil. I saw him reach across the table and gently brush a stray strand of hair from her face. I saw her lean in and whisper something in his ear, her eyes sparkling with affection. Finally, I couldn't bear it any longer. I turned and fled, my legs carrying me away from the cafe, away from the scene of my shattered dreams. I ran blindly through the streets, the rain blurring my vision, the pain in my chest suffocating me. I ended up at a dive bar near the waterfront, a place I'd never frequented before. I ordered a whiskey, neat, and downed it in one gulp. The burning sensation in my throat did little to numb the ache in my heart. I ordered another, and another, until the world began to spin and the edges of my pain started to blur. I spent the rest of the night in a drunken stupor, replaying the scene in the cafe over and over in my mind. The image of Imogen with that man, their hands intertwined, their faces glowing with affection, was seared into my memory, a constant reminder of her betrayal. The next morning, I woke up with a pounding headache and a profound sense of despair. The events of the previous night flooded back, and the reality of Imogen's infidelity crashed down on me with full force. I stumbled out of bed and wandered into the living room, where I found Imogen sitting on the couch, looking pale and drawn. "Alaric, where were you?" she asked, her voice laced with concern. I was worried sick. I stared at her, my anger simmering beneath the surface. "Don't play innocent with me, Imogen," I said, my voice trembling. "I know about him, I saw you." Her eyes widened and her face flushed crimson. Alaric, I don't even try to deny it, I interrupted. I saw you at the cafe, you and him, holding hands, laughing, looking like you were in love, tears welled up in her eyes. It's not what you think, she stammered. Oh, really? Then what is it, Imogen? An innocent business meeting? A friendly chat between colleagues? I spat, my voice dripping with sarcasm. She hung her head, her shoulders shaking. It just happened, she whispered. I didn't mean for it to go this far, it just happened, I repeated, incredulous. You just happened to fall into bed with another man. You just happened to betray our marriage, our vows, our life together. She looked up at me, her eyes pleading. I'm sorry, Alaric, she sobbed. I made a mistake. Please forgive me, forgive her. How could I possibly forgive her? She had shattered my trust, broken my heart, and destroyed everything I thought we had. I couldn't even look at her without feeling a surge of anger and disgust. I can't, Imogen, I said, my voice flat. I can't forgive you. It's over, she gasped, her face contorted with pain. No, Alaric, please don't say that. We can work through this. We can go to counseling. We can fix this. But I knew it was too late. The damage was done. The trust was gone. There was no going back. There's nothing to fix, Imogen, I said, turning away from her. It's over. I want a divorce. I spent the next few weeks in a haze of grief and anger trying to come to terms with the end of my marriage. I moved out of our brownstone and into a small apartment in Queens, a sterile, impersonal space that reflected the emptiness inside me. I threw myself into my work, coding day and night, trying to drown out the pain with logic and algorithms. But no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't escape the memories of Imogen, of our life together, of her betrayal. My friends tried to be supportive, but their words of comfort felt hollow and inadequate. You're better off without her, they'd say. She didn't deserve you. But their platitudes did little to ease the ache in my heart. One evening I received a call from a mutual friend, Blythe. Alaric, I need to talk to you, she said, her voice urgent. It's about Imogen. My heart sank. What is it? I asked, bracing myself for more bad news. It's about the man she was seeing, Blythe said. His name is Oswin. He's not who you think he is. What do you mean? I asked, my curiosity piqued. He's married, Alaric, Blythe said. And his wife, well, she's not happy about the affair. A glimmer of hope flickered inside me. What are you saying, Blythe? Saying that Oswin's wife knows about Imogen and she's planning to make their lives a living hell. I felt a surge of satisfaction, a sense of karmic justice. Imogen had betrayed me, and now she was about to face the consequences of her actions. Tell me everything, I said, my voice eager. Blythe proceeded to tell me about Oswin's wife, a wealthy and powerful woman named Rowena. Rowena was furious about the affair and was determined to make Imogen and Oswin pay for their transgression. She's hired a private investigator to dig up dirt on them, Blythe said. She's planning to expose their affair to everyone they know. Is going to ruin their reputations and their lives. I listened with a growing sense of satisfaction. Imogen and Oswin deserved everything that was coming to them. They had hurt me deeply, and now they were about to experience the same pain and humiliation. I have to admit, Alaric, Blythe said, I feel a little sorry for Imogen. She made a mistake, but she doesn't deserve this. Oh, I think she does, I said, my voice cold. She betrayed me, Blythe. She broke my heart. She deserves everything she gets. Blythe sighed. I know, Alaric. I just hope you can find some peace in all of this. Peace. I didn't know if I'd ever find peace again. But knowing that Imogen and Oswin were about to face the wrath of Rowena gave me a small measure of comfort. Over the next few weeks, I watched with a grim satisfaction as Rowena's plan unfolded. She exposed Imogen and Oswin's affair to their families, their friends, and their colleagues. She leaked compromising photos of them to the tabloids. She even confronted Imogen at the gallery, publicly denouncing her as a homewrecker. Imogen's life quickly spiraled out of control. She lost her job at the gallery, her friends abandoned her, and her family disowned her. She became a pariah, ostracized and alone. Oswin fared no better. Rowena divorced him, taking half of his assets and leaving him financially ruined. He lost his job, his reputation, and his social standing. He became a laughingstock, ridiculed and scorned by everyone he knew. As I watched Imogen and Oswin's lives crumble, I couldn't help but feel a sense of vindication. They had hurt me deeply, and now they were paying the price for their actions. Justice had been served, but as the weeks turned into months, my sense of satisfaction began to fade. I realized that their suffering wasn't bringing me the peace I had hoped for. It wasn't filling the emptiness inside me. It wasn't healing my broken heart. I started to feel a pang of guilt, a sense of remorse for the pain I had caused, albeit indirectly. I knew that Imogen had made a terrible mistake, but did she really deserve to have her life destroyed? Did Oswin deserve to be ruined and humiliated? One day, I decided to reach out to Imogen. I called her, bracing myself for a hostile reception. "Hello," she answered, her voice weak and hesitant. "Imogen, it's Alaric," I said. There was a long silence on the other end of the line. "What do you want?" She finally asked, her voice cold. "I just wanted to see how you were doing," I said. She laughed, a bitter, humorless sound. "How do you think I'm doing, Alaric? My life is in ruins. I've lost everything." "I know," I said. "And I'm sorry," she scoffed. "Sorry? Is that supposed to make me feel better?" "No," I said. "But I wanted you to know that I don't hate you, Imogen. I don't want to see you suffer." There was another long silence. "Why are you saying this, Alaric?" she asked, her voice softening. "Because I realize that revenge isn't the answer," I said. "It's not bringing me any happiness. It's not healing my heart. It's just perpetuating the cycle of pain." She started to cry. "I made a mistake, Alaric," she sobbed. "A terrible mistake. I'm so sorry for hurting you." "I know," I said. "And I forgive you, Imogen." Forgiving Imogen didn't erase the pain of her betrayal, but it did allow me to move on. It allowed me to let go of the anger and resentment that had been consuming me. I started seeing a therapist who helped me process my emotions and rebuild my life. I reconnected with old friends, pursued new hobbies, and focused on my career. Slowly but surely, I began to heal. I never remarried, but I did find love again, with a kind and compassionate woman named Genevieve. Genevieve understood my past and accepted me for who I was, flaws and all. Years later, I ran into Imogen at a local art fair. She looked older and more subdued, but she seemed to be doing well. She was working as a volunteer at a local community center, helping underprivileged children learn about art. We talked for a few minutes, catching up on each other's lives. There was no animosity, no bitterness, just a quiet sense of understanding and acceptance. As we said goodbye, Imogen turned to me and said, "Thank you, Alaric, for forgiving me, for letting me move on." I smiled. "You're welcome, Imogen," I said. "We all make mistakes. The important thing is to learn from them and move forward." And that's exactly what we both did. We moved forward, leaving the pain of the past behind us and embracing the possibility of a brighter future. I learned a valuable lesson from my experience with Imogen. That revenge is a hollow victory, that forgiveness is the path to healing, and that even after the most devastating betrayal, it is possible to find love and happiness again. The rain outside had stopped and the sun was peeking through the clouds. It was a new day, a new beginning, and I was ready to embrace it. Time passed. I began dating Genevieve, a potter I met at a local market. Her hands, stained with clay, were a stark contrast to Imogen's perfectly manicured ones. Genevieve was grounded, honest, and radiated a warmth that slowly thawed the ice around my heart. She didn't try to fix me. She simply accepted me, scars and all. We built a life together, a quiet one filled with simple pleasures, pottery classes, weekend hikes in the Catskills, and evenings spent reading by the fire. One crisp autumn afternoon, years after my divorce, I received an unexpected email. The sender was Rowena, Oswin's ex-wife. My first instinct was to delete it, but curiosity got the better of me. I clicked it open. "Alaric," it began. "I know this is out of the blue, but I felt compelled to reach out. I wanted to apologize for the role I played in your divorce. In my rage, I acted without thinking, and I caused a great deal of pain to many people, including you." I stared at the screen, stunned. Rowena, the woman who had unleashed hell on Imogen and Oswin, was apologizing to me. I realized that my actions were driven by anger and a desire for revenge. The email continued. "But in the end, they only brought me more heartache. I destroyed their lives, but I didn't heal my own. I hope that one day you can find it in your heart to forgive me." I sat there for a long time, contemplating Rowena's words. It was true, her revenge had been brutal and unforgiving. But it had also been born out of pain, a pain I understood all too well. I typed out a response. "Rowena," I wrote, "thank you for your email. I appreciate your apology. I understand that you were acting out of hurt, and I forgive you. I hope that you too can find peace and healing." Sending that email felt like lifting a heavy weight off my shoulders. It was another step towards letting go of the past and embracing the future. Life, I realized, wasn't about seeking revenge or holding onto grudges. It was about forgiveness, healing, and finding happiness, even after the most devastating betrayals. It was about learning from our mistakes and moving forward, stronger and wiser than before. I looked out the window at the setting sun, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple. I smiled. Life was good. It had taken me a long time to get here, but I had finally found my way. One day, Genevieve suggested we take a trip to Italy. "I've always dreamed of visiting Florence," she said, her eyes sparkling. "And I think you deserve a break." I hesitated. Italy was where Imogen and I had spent our honeymoon. The memories were still vivid, tinged with both joy and pain. But Genevieve's unwavering support had given me the strength to face the past, not run from it. "Okay," I said. "Let's go to Italy." Florence was breathtaking. The art, the architecture, the food, it was all a feast for the senses. I found myself drawn to the same museums and galleries that Imogen and I had visited years ago. But this time, the memories didn't sting as much. They were simply part of my story, a chapter in my life that had helped shape me into the person I was today. One evening, as Genevieve and I were strolling along the Ponte Vecchio, admiring the sunset over the Arno River, I saw her. Imogen. She was standing on the bridge, gazing at the water, her face etched with a familiar sadness. My heart skipped a beat. I hadn't seen her in years. I almost turned away, wanting to avoid an awkward encounter, but Genevieve gently squeezed my hand. "Go talk to her," she said. "You need to." I took a deep breath and walked towards Imogen. "Hello, Imogen," I said softly. She turned around, her eyes widening in surprise. "Alaric," she said, her voice barely a whisper. "What are you doing here?" "I'm here with Genevieve," I said, gesturing towards my partner who was watching us from a distance. "We're on vacation." "Oh," Imogen said, her gaze shifting to the ground. "I'm here alone." We stood there in silence for a moment, the only sound the gentle lapping of the water against the bridge. "How are you doing, Imogen?" I asked. "I'm okay," she said. "I'm working at a small art gallery in London. It's not as glamorous as my old job, but it's honest work." "I'm glad to hear that," I said. "I'm glad you're doing well." She looked up at me, her eyes filled with a mixture of sadness and gratitude. "Thank you, Alaric," she said, "for everything, for forgiving me, for letting me go." I smiled. "You're welcome, Imogen," I said. "We all deserve a second chance." We said goodbye and went our separate ways. As I walked back to Genevieve, I felt a sense of closure, a sense of peace that I hadn't felt in years. I had finally put the past behind me and embraced the future with all its possibilities. Genevieve met me halfway and wrapped her arms around me. "I'm proud of you," she said, kissing my cheek. "You handled that beautifully." I smiled. "I couldn't have done it without you," I said. We walked hand in hand along the Ponte Vecchio, the setting sun casting a warm glow on our faces. I knew that the road ahead wouldn't always be easy, but I was ready to face whatever challenges came my way, as long as I had Genevieve by my side. I had learned that love wasn't about perfection. It was about forgiveness, acceptance, and unwavering support. And I had finally found that with Genevieve. I was finally home. The journey had been long and arduous, filled with pain and betrayal. But it had also led me to a place of peace, happiness, and unconditional love. And for that, I was eternally grateful. In the years that followed, Genevieve and I built a life filled with love, laughter, and shared adventures. We traveled the world, explored new cultures, and created memories that would last a lifetime. We also learned to appreciate the simple things in life: a quiet evening at home, a walk in the park, a shared meal with friends. I never forgot the pain of Imogen's betrayal, but it no longer defined me. It was simply a part of my story, a reminder of the importance of forgiveness, resilience, and the power of love. And as I looked into Genevieve's eyes, I knew that I had finally found true happiness, a happiness that was built on trust, honesty, and unwavering commitment, a happiness that would last a lifetime.